The year was 2387, and the galaxy had been peaceful for over 3,000 years. 47 different alien species lived together in harmony, sharing knowledge and helping each other grow. They called themselves the Galaxy Council, and their leader was a tall, graceful being named Vexthar from the crystal world of Nexus Prime. These aliens were nothing like what humans might imagine. The Zilithians looked like walking trees with silver bark and gentle blue eyes. The Aquarians were fish-like creatures who could breathe both water and air. The Crystallites were made of living gems that sparkled when they talked. All of them had one thing in common: they came from what they called garden worlds. Garden worlds were perfect places to live. The weather was always nice, never too hot or too cold. Food grew easily everywhere. Dangerous animals didn't exist. Natural disasters were rare. These aliens had never known real struggle or hardship. They spent their time creating beautiful art, discovering new science, and having friendly debates about philosophy. War was something they only read about in very old history books. Fighting was so rare that when two aliens disagreed, they would sit down and talk for days until they found a solution that made everyone happy. Violence was almost impossible for them to understand. One day, Dr. Kilthin, a curious scientist from the Zelithian world, was studying deep space signals when something unusual caught his attention. Far away, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, strange electromagnetic waves were coming from a small blue and green planet. This is remarkable, Dr. Kilthin told his research team. These signals show organized patterns. There's definitely intelligent life on this world, and they seem to have advanced technology. The discovery excited everyone. Finding new intelligent life was always a cause for celebration in the Galaxy Council. They loved meeting new species and learning about different cultures. Each new member brought fresh ideas and perspectives. That made their peaceful society even better. Dr. Kilthin studied the signals for months. The patterns were complex and showed signs of a highly organized civilization. The planet seemed to have multiple continents with different groups of beings living on each one. Their technology was impressive, though different from anything the Council had seen before. They call themselves humans, Dr. Kilthin announced to the Council during their monthly meeting, and their planet is called Earth, based on their communications. They appear to be a unified species with a strong sense of curiosity about the universe. Vexthar listened carefully to the report. As the council leader, she had overseen the peaceful integration of 12 new species during her lifetime. Each time, the process had been smooth and joyful. The new species were always grateful to join their peaceful alliance and quickly adapted to their nonviolent ways. This is wonderful news, Vexthar said, her crystalline voice ringing like gentle bells. We should extend an invitation to these humans immediately. I'm sure they'll be delighted to join our peaceful family. The other council members agreed enthusiastically. The Aquarian representative made happy bubbling sounds, while the Zelithians rustled their leaf-like appendages in approval. Everyone was excited about the possibility of learning from these new beings called humans. Dr. Kilthin prepared a careful message explaining who they were and inviting the humans to send representatives to meet them. The message was transmitted using their most advanced communication technology, designed to be easily understood by any intelligent species. The message explained that the Galaxy Council was a peaceful alliance dedicated to knowledge, art, and mutual cooperation. They described their beautiful worlds, their advanced sciences, and their commitment to solving problems through discussion rather than conflict. They painted a picture of a perfect universe where everyone lived in harmony. We believe that all intelligent life shares the same basic desires for peace, knowledge, and friendship, the message stated. We invite you to join our family of civilizations and share in the wonders we have discovered together. The council expected to wait months or even years for a reply. Most species needed time to debate such an important decision among themselves. The process of joining the council was usually slow and careful, with lots of questions and cultural exchanges before any meetings took place. But the humans surprised them. Just 6 weeks later, a response arrived that was much shorter than expected. Thank you for your invitation, the message said. "We are honored by your offer and would like to learn more about your alliance. We will send a small diplomatic team to meet with you. Please provide coordinates for a suitable meeting location." The council was amazed by how quickly the humans had responded. It showed they were decisive and confident, traits that would be valuable in their peaceful society. Vexstar immediately began planning a grand welcome ceremony. "We'll use Harmony's Edge," she announced. Harmony's Edge was their most beautiful diplomatic station. Built specifically for first contact meetings, it floated in neutral space between several council worlds, surrounded by colorful nebulae that created stunning views through its crystal windows. The station was a masterpiece of peaceful architecture. Soft, curved walls flowed like water. Gardens filled with plants from dozens of worlds created a living rainbow of colors. Gentle music played constantly, created by wind flowing through specially designed crystal formations. Everything was designed to make visitors feel calm and welcome. Dr. Kilthen worked with the station's cultural specialists to prepare for the humans' arrival. They studied every bit of information they could gather from Earth's transmissions, trying to understand human customs and preferences. They prepared foods that seemed similar to what humans ate, though they had to guess about flavors and textures. They seemed to be social creatures who enjoy gathering together, Dr. Kilthen noted. They have many different cultures, but appear to share common values of family, curiosity, and cooperation. They should fit in perfectly with our society. The council members each prepared gifts to welcome their new friends. The crystallites grew special gems that would sing when touched. The aquarians composed a water dance performance. The Zilithians cultivated rare flowers that bloomed in patterns representing friendship and peace. As the day of first contact approached, excitement spread throughout council space. News broadcasts discussed the upcoming meeting. Art galleries prepared exhibitions celebrating diversity and unity. Schools organized special lessons about the importance of peaceful cooperation between different species. Vexstar felt confident that this would be another successful integration. In her long experience, all intelligent species wanted the same things: safety, comfort, knowledge, and friendship. She couldn't imagine that any advanced civilization would be fundamentally different from the peaceful races that made up the council. The preparations were nearly complete. Harmony's Edge sparkled like a jewel in space, ready to welcome humanity into their perfect, peaceful galaxy. Security protocols were minimal, just basic safety measures to prevent accidents. The council had never needed real security because violence was virtually unknown among civilized species. As the date approached, some of the younger council members asked what they should expect from these humans. Vexstar smiled warmly, her crystalline features glowing with confidence. "They'll be just like us," she assured them. After all, any species advanced enough to develop space travel must have evolved beyond primitive behaviors, like aggression and conflict. Intelligence and wisdom always lead to peace. The stage was set for what the council believed would be another joyful celebration of interspecies harmony. They had no idea that they were about to meet beings shaped by worlds so dangerous that their very existence would challenge everything the council thought they knew about life in the universe. The humans were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 months after sending their invitation, the aliens at Harmony's Edge received a message that made them jump with excitement. The human ship was approaching and would arrive within hours. Vexstar gathered the entire diplomatic team in the main observation deck to watch history being made. Through the massive crystal windows, they could see a small dot growing larger against the backdrop of swirling purple and gold nebulae. But as the ship came closer, Dr. Kilthen noticed something that made his leaf-like appendages tremble with concern. "That's unusual," he whispered to Vexstar. "Look at their ship's surface." The human vessel was unlike anything they had ever seen. Where council ships were smooth and elegant, this one looked rough and worn. Dark streaks ran along its sides like old wounds. The metal hull was thick and reinforced with extra plating that spoke of impacts and repairs. Strange antennae arrays jutted out at odd angles, and what looked like protective shields covered important sections. Maybe they had a difficult journey, Vexstar suggested. though doubt crept into her voice. Space travel can be challenging for species new to it. The ship docked with a heavy clang that echoed through the station. Council ships connected, with gentle magnetic locks that made barely a whisper. This arrival shook the entire docking bay. The aliens looked at each other nervously, but they pushed their worries aside. Perhaps humans just had different engineering styles. The airlock opened with a sharp hiss, and Captain Eleanor Rodriguez stepped out first, followed by her team of 5 other humans. The moment the aliens saw them, an uncomfortable silence fell over the welcoming committee. These beings looked nothing like what they had expected. Captain Rodriguez was shorter than most council members, but she seemed to fill more space somehow. Her shoulders were broad, and even through her diplomatic uniform, they could see she was heavily muscled. Her skin was darker than the pale Zelithians, marked with several thin white lines that could only be old injuries. But it was her eyes that disturbed them most. They pointed forward like a predator's, designed for hunting rather than the wide-set eyes of peaceful species. When she looked at something, she seemed to be evaluating it, measuring it, planning something. Her gaze was intense in a way that made the gentle aliens want to step backward. "Greetings," Captain Rodriguez said with a smile that showed white teeth. "I'm Captain Eleanor Rodriguez of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. Thank you for inviting us to your beautiful station." Her voice was confident and strong, but there was something underneath it that the aliens couldn't identify. It reminded Dr. Kilthin of old recordings of predatory animals from his world's ancient past. Before evolution had made all creatures peaceful, the other humans were equally unsettling. Security Chief Jackson was even more heavily built than the captain, with scars on his hands and a way of standing that suggested he was ready to move quickly in any direction. Communications Officer Chen had kind eyes, but even she possessed that same forward-facing predator gaze and muscular build that seemed common to all humans. "Welcome to Harmony's Edge," Vexthara managed, her crystalline voice slightly strained. "We are honored to meet the representatives of humanity." As they walked through the station's peaceful corridors, the cultural differences became more obvious. The aliens moved with flowing, graceful steps, like dancers or creatures who had never needed to hurry anywhere. The humans walked with purpose, their heads turning constantly to observe their surroundings. They noticed exit routes, structural details, and potential defensive positions with the automatic awareness of beings who had learned that survival meant staying alert. The grand dining hall had been decorated with flowers from dozens of worlds, their sweet fragrances mixing in the air. Gentle music played from crystal formations, and the tables were set with the finest foods the council could provide. Everything was designed to create an atmosphere of peace and celebration. As they sat down to eat, Dr. Kilthin tried to start a friendly conversation. "Tell us about your beautiful world, Captain Rodriguez. From what we observed, Earth appears to be a lovely place with diverse climates." Captain Rodriguez took a bite of the alien fruit. Before answering, "Earth is challenging, but we love it. We have deserts where the temperature can reach 50 degrees Celsius, and polar regions where it drops to -40. Our weather systems can generate winds over 300 kilometers per hour, and we get storms that could level entire cities." The aliens stared in horror. Such conditions would be deadly to their species. How could anyone describe such a world as something they loved? "That sounds difficult," Dr. Kilthin said weakly. "How do you manage to survive in such harsh conditions?" "You adapt," Security Chief Jackson said with a shrug. "My grandmother lived through 3 major hurricanes, 2 earthquakes, and a volcanic eruption. She always said it kept life interesting." Communications Officer Chen laughed. "My family comes from a region where the monsoon floods can be 30 meters deep. We learned to build homes that float and swim before we could walk properly." The council members exchanged worried glances. These humans spoke of deadly natural disasters as if they were minor inconveniences. What kind of world-produced beings? Who could casually discuss surviving conditions that would extinct most civilized species? "What about dangerous animals?" asked the Aquarian representative, hoping to change the subject to something more pleasant. "Surely your world has been made safe for civilization?" Captain Rodriguez paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. dangerous. Animals, well, we still have bears, wolves, sharks, poisonous snakes, big cats, oh. And in Australia, pretty much everything wants to eliminate you. Spiders the size of dinner plates, jellyfish that can end you with one touch, crocodiles that haven't changed much since the dinosaurs. But surely your people avoid these creatures? Vexthara asked, her voice growing higher with concern. Not really, Jackson said. I went camping in bear country last month. Great hiking trails. You just have to know how to store your food properly and make noise so you don't surprise them. The aliens couldn't comprehend this attitude. These humans spoke of sharing their world with deadly predators as if it were perfectly normal. In council space, dangerous animals had been relocated to protected reserves or evolved into harmless forms. Millions of years ago, Dr. Kilthin decided to try a different approach. What about your species' greatest achievement? Surely you're most proud of your advances in art or science or philosophy. I'd say our greatest achievement is that we're still here, Captain Rodriguez replied. My species has survived ice ages, volcanic winters, asteroid impacts, plagues. In our own mistakes, we've learned to work together when it matters most. Work together how? The crystallite representative asked. Well, when disasters hit. Humans have this habit of running toward danger instead of away from it, Chen explained. During floods, earthquakes, or fires, ordinary people become rescue workers. They'll risk their lives to save strangers, even people from different countries or cultures. This was the most alien concept yet. The council species had evolved to avoid danger at all costs. The idea of deliberately moving toward threat to help others was nearly impossible for them to understand. The conversation took an even more disturbing turn when Dr. Kilthin asked about their world's apex predator, expecting to hear about some mighty beast that ruled their ancient forests. Captain Rodriguez actually laughed. That would be us. Humans are the apex predator of Earth. We can outrun most animals over long distances, outthink the clever ones, and work together to take down anything bigger than us. We're persistent hunters who can track prey across continents and adapt to any environment. The silence that followed was deafening. The aliens stared at these humans with new understanding and growing fear. They weren't meeting fellow peaceful beings who happened to come from a slightly more challenging world. They were sitting across from the galaxy's most successful predators. Suddenly, the station's lights flickered, and everyone felt the artificial gravity fluctuate. It was a minor technical problem, the kind that happened occasionally in space stations. The standard protocol was to evacuate to emergency pods until repairs could be made. The aliens immediately began their emergency procedures, moving quickly but orderly toward the exits. But when they looked back, they were shocked to see the humans calmly continuing their meal. Aren't you coming? Vexthara called out. Coming where? Captain Rodriguez asked, spearing another piece of fruit with her fork. It's just a gravity fluctuation, probably a power converter cycling. Nothing to worry about. Security Chief Jackson nodded. Reminds me of the time our transport got hit by space debris near Jupiter. Lost main power for 6 hours and had to navigate through an asteroid field on backup systems. Now that was a fun afternoon. The way he said fun made it clear that humans had a very different definition of the word than anyone else in the galaxy. The evening ended when Captain Rodriguez tried to demonstrate something she called arm wrestling, which she described as a friendly human competition. The Zelithian ambassador volunteered, thinking it was some sort of dance or artistic expression. After the humans left Harmony's Edge, the council chambers fell into the deepest silence they had experienced in centuries. Vexthara sat at the center of the crystalline council table, her usually bright glow dim with worry. Around her, the representatives of 47 peaceful species waited for someone to speak first. Dr. Kilthin finally broke the silence. We need to know more about these humans before we make any decisions. What we saw today, it doesn't match what we thought we understood about intelligent life. The Aquarian representative made nervous bubbling sounds. Did you see how they moved? Like they were constantly ready to fight something. And those eyes, they looked at everything like they were hunting. The scars, whispered the crystallite delegate. So many scars, and 3,000 years of peace. I've never seen intelligent beings marked by so much violence. Vexthar raised her hand for quiet. We cannot judge an entire species based on first impressions. Perhaps we misunderstood something about their culture. Dr. Kilthen, I want you to form a research team, study everything we can learn about Earth and humanity. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Within days, Dr. Kilthen had assembled the most brilliant minds from across council space, xenobiologists, cultural experts, historians, and communication specialists all worked together in a secret facility on Nexus Prime. Their mission was classified at the highest level because the council didn't want to cause panic among their peaceful populations. The research team started by analyzing every transmission they had intercepted from Earth over the years. What they discovered in the first week made them question everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. This is impossible, gasped Dr. HFY, a senior biologist from the ethereal worlds. She was studying human anatomy based on medical broadcasts they had intercepted. Look at their bone density. It's 3 times thicker than any intelligent species we've encountered. Their muscle fibers are designed for explosive power, and their cardiovascular system, it's built for extreme endurance and stress. Dr. Kilthen leaned over her shoulder to examine the data. What does this mean? It means they evolved under conditions that would be instantly fatal to us. Gravity alone on their world is 30% stronger than our standard. But that's not the worst part. Dr. HFY pulled up another screen. Look at their teeth. Those front ones are designed for tearing, the back ones for crushing. They're omnivores. But their digestive systems can process things that would poison most of us. The cultural analysis team was making equally disturbing discoveries. Dr. Rixathan from the Harmony Worlds had been studying human entertainment and recreational activities. His findings left the entire research team speechless. They have something called extreme sports, he reported during their daily briefing. Humans deliberately throw themselves off high places with only a piece of fabric to slow their fall. They strap themselves to boards and ride down mountains covered in frozen water at incredible speeds. Some of them fight each other inside cages while thousands watch for entertainment. That's barbaric, one of the researchers gasped. But here's the strange part, Dr. Rixathan continued. They do it for fun, not for territory or resources or dominance. They enjoy activities that could end their lives. They call it getting an adrenaline rush. The team discovered that humans regularly consumed substances that would be considered deadly toxins to most council species. They call it alcohol and gathered socially to drink it together. They also ate plants that caused pain in their mouths, calling them spicy foods and seeming to enjoy the burning sensation. But the most shocking discovery came when they studied Earth's environment itself. The planet was revealed to be what galactic scientists would classify as a Class 9 death world, a designation they had created theoretically, but never expected to encounter. The temperature variations alone should make complex life impossible, reported Dr. Velsha. They're environmental specialists. They experience seasonal changes of over 60 degrees Celsius in some regions. Their polar areas reach temperatures that would freeze our bodily fluids solid. She pulled up images of Earth's weather systems. Look at these storm formations. Hurricane winds that reach over to 100 kilometers per hour. Tornadoes that can destroy entire settlements in minutes. Lightning strikes that carry enough electrical power to level buildings. The geological data was even more terrifying. Their planet is still geologically active. The ground literally moves beneath their feet. Earthquakes can reshape entire regions overnight. They have mountains that explode, sending molten rock into the air. Yet humans build cities right next to these volcanic zones. Dr. Kilthen studied the data with growing horror. How does anything survive on such a world? That's just it, Dr. Velsha replied. Most things don't. Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events in its history. Each time, 90% or more of all life was wiped out. But somehow, life kept coming back stronger and more adaptable. The team's historian, Dr. Mordick, had been studying human civilization and social development. His findings painted a picture that disturbed even the most open-minded council members. Their history is filled with something they call wars, he reported. Large-scale conflicts where groups of humans would fight each other for territory, resources, or ideological differences. Some of these conflicts lasted for years and involved millions of individuals. The researchers couldn't comprehend this concept. The last time any council species had experienced organized violence was thousands of years ago, before they achieved interstellar travel. But here's what I find most confusing. Dr. Murdoch continued. In between these conflicts, they created incredible works of art, advanced their sciences, and built magnificent civilizations. They seem capable of both destruction and creation on scales we've never imagined. He showed them images of human architecture, massive structures, that defied the engineering principles of most peaceful species. They build upward instead of outward, creating vertical cities that reach toward their sky. Some of their structures are over 1 kilometer tall, built to withstand the violent weather of their world. The research team also discovered something called the military, organized groups of humans, specifically trained for combat. These weren't security forces designed to prevent accidents or maintain order. They were professional warriors who studied the art of conflict as intensively as council scientists studied peaceful cooperation. Their military technology is impressive, admitted Dr. Rickson reluctantly. They've developed weapons that can destroy targets from thousands of kilometers away. Flying machines that move faster than sound. Armored vehicles designed to survive in combat conditions. That would crush our most advanced exploration craft. But perhaps the most disturbing discovery was something the humans called pack bonding. Unlike the rational cooperation of council species, humans formed deep emotional attachments that transcended logic or even species barriers. They adopt other creatures as pets, Dr. HFY explained, not for food or labor, but for companionship. Some of these creatures are descended from the same predators that once hunted their ancestors. Yet humans bring them into their homes and treat them like family members. The research showed that humans would risk their lives to save their pets, their friends, or even complete strangers. They had an instinctive protective response that kicked in during emergencies, causing them to run toward danger instead of away from it. This explains their behavior during the gravity malfunction. Dr. Kilthen realized they weren't ignoring the danger. They were automatically assessing whether anyone needed help. As weeks turned into months, the research team's findings painted a picture of humanity that was both terrifying and impossible to understand. These were beings shaped by a world so hostile that their very existence was a testament to the power of adaptation and survival. They were predators, yes, but they were also protectors. They were violent, but they were also capable of incredible compassion. They came from a world that tried to eliminate them at every turn. Yet they had not just survived but thrived. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human governments were dealing with their own crisis. News of the alien contact had spread despite attempts to keep it classified. The global population was excited about joining a galactic community, but they were also confused by the restrictions being placed on them. Military leaders were frustrated by orders to tone down their training exercises. Athletes were told not to demonstrate their full capabilities. Even children were instructed not to mention their pets or hobbies. That might seem dangerous to alien observers. General Patricia Hayes, head of Earth's Defense Command, struggled to explain the situation to her staff. Apparently, our normal behavior terrifies them. What we consider basic survival skills, they see as superhuman abilities. Are we supposed to pretend we're weak? Asked Colonel David Kim. We're supposed to pretend we're peaceful, General Hayes replied, though I'm not sure they understand the difference. Back in council space, the research team prepared their final report. Dr. Kilthen read through their conclusions one last time before presenting them to the council leadership. The implications were staggering. 6 months had passed since the council's research team completed their study of humanity. The findings sat locked in secure files while the council leadership debated endlessly about what to do. Some members wanted to immediately withdraw their invitation to Earth. Others argued that humanity's unique abilities might actually be valuable. The debates went in circles, with no one able to reach a decision. During one particularly heated discussion, Vexthar noticed her assistant rushing into the chamber with an expression of pure terror on his crystalline features. The young Nexian's usual blue glow had turned a sickly green color that indicated extreme distress. "Council leader," he gasped, "we're receiving emergency signals from the Outer Rim territories. Something terrible is happening." The main viewing screen activated, showing a transmission from Captain Zeekathal of the exploration vessel Peaceful Dawn. The veteran commander appeared on screen, but his usual calm demeanor was completely shattered. Behind him, his bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. "Council Command. This is Captain Zeekathal reporting a Code Black emergency. The colony world of Haven's Rest has gone completely silent. We arrived to investigate and found..." His voice broke. "The entire planet has been stripped clean. The cities, the forests, the oceans, everything is gone. Only bare rock remains." The council chamber erupted in shocked gasps. Haven's Rest had been home to over 50 million beings from 3 different species. It was impossible for an entire world to simply disappear. "Captain, that cannot be correct," Vexthar said, though her voice trembled. "Perhaps your sensors are malfunctioning." "Negative. Council leader, we've confirmed with multiple scans. But that's not the worst part. We detected massive energy signatures moving toward the core worlds. Whatever did this is heading straight for our most populated systems." The transmission cut to static, then returned with Captain Zeekathal as terrified. "Face, Council Command, we're detecting incoming vessels. Unknown design. Moving at impossible speeds. They're firing some kind of beam at us. It's breaking down our ship at the molecular level. We're abandoning ship. Tell my family." The screen went black. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. In 3,000 years of peaceful civilization, nothing like this had ever happened. They had protocols for natural disasters, diplomatic disputes, and technical emergencies. But they had no plan for something that could completely destroy an entire world and its population. Dr. Kilthan was the first to speak. "We need to send our defense fleet to investigate immediately." "Defense fleet?" Vexthar asked weakly. "We don't have a defense fleet. We have exploration vessels and science." Ships. The horrible truth sank in. The council had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to defend themselves. Their ships were designed for discovery and diplomacy, not survival. Their crews were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. Over the following days, the situation became a nightmare. 3 more worlds went silent, their populations vanishing without a trace. The few ships that managed to escape described the same thing: massive mechanical vessels that appeared without warning and began systematically breaking down everything they encountered. The survivors called them Devourers because they seemed to consume entire planets, converting the matter into more ships and machines. They moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single massive intelligence. Most terrifying of all, they appeared to be learning from each encounter, adapting their tactics to overcome any resistance. The Council's evacuation efforts were chaotic and inadequate. Their peaceful nature, which had been their greatest strength, became their fatal weakness. They had no military commanders, no battle strategies, no weapons designed for anything more dangerous than clearing space debris. Captain Lurvin of the science vessel Gentle Current sent a desperate message. After barely escaping the destruction of Crystal Gardens, one of the Council's most beautiful worlds, these machines don't negotiate, don't communicate, don't show mercy. They treat us like we treat asteroids, obstacles to be processed and converted. Our peace talks bounced off them, like lead off a black hole. Within 2 weeks, 7 Council worlds had been completely consumed. Refugee ships crowded into the remaining save systems. But everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the Devourers found them too. The Council held emergency sessions around the clock, but their debates accomplished nothing. Some members proposed surrender, though no one knew how to surrender to machines that didn't seem to recognize intelligent life as anything special. Others suggested hiding in deep space until the threat passed. But the Devourers showed no signs of stopping their systematic advance. It was during one of these hopeless debates that Dr. Kilthin made a suggestion that shocked everyone into silence. We should ask the humans for help. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Representatives leaped to their feet, shouting over each other in a dozen different languages. Absolutely not, declared the ethereal delegate. We'd be inviting one group of destroyers to fight another. The humans are dangerous predators, added the crystallite representative. How do we know they won't simply take over once the machines are gone? Vexthar raised her hand for quiet, though her own expression showed deep uncertainty. Dr. Kilthin, explain your reasoning. The Devourers are machines, he said. They think logically. Predictably, they expect us to behave rationally, to run when threatened, to surrender when overwhelmed. But humans don't think like that. They come from a world that tried to destroy them, and their response was to become stronger. They might be the only beings in the galaxy who can fight something like this, but what if we're simply trading one threat for another? Asked the Aquarian representative. What if the humans defeat the Devourers and then decide they want our worlds for themselves? Before Dr. Kilthin could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The main screen activated, showing long-range sensors detecting a massive formation approaching Council space. The Devourers had found Harmony's edge dot at that same moment, far across the galaxy on the diplomatic station. Captain Rodriguez was reviewing intelligence reports with her small team. They had been monitoring Council communications and were fully aware of the crisis unfolding. Ma'am, said Communications Officer Chen, I'm picking up Devourer signals. They're heading straight for this station. Captain Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The alien station had no defenses beyond basic emergency shields. The Council evacuation fleet was already overloaded and couldn't take on additional refugees quickly enough. Time to intercept, she asked. 47 minutes. At current approach speed, reported Security Chief Jackson. The Council ships will need at least 2 hours to complete evacuation. Captain Rodriguez made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. She opened a secure channel to Earth. Earth Command, this is Diplomatic Team 7. We have a situation. General Hayes' voice crackled through the communication array. What's your status, Captain? We have hostile alien machines approaching a civilian target with no defensive capabilities. Council fleet is in full retreat. Request permission to engage. There was a long pause. Finally, General Hayes responded, Captain, you have a diplomatic vessel with minimal armament. What exactly do you plan to engage with? Captain Rodriguez looked at her team. Jackson was already checking weapons systems. Chen was analyzing the enemy formation for weaknesses. Dr. Park, their science officer, was running calculations on Devourer technology based on intercepted data. We plan to buy time, ma'am. These people need help, and we're the only ones here who can provide it. Another pause. Captain, I have to ask, are you certain about this? You're talking about 5 humans and 1 small ship against an armada of unknown alien machines. Captain Rodriguez smiled, though there was no humor in it. Ma'am, with respect, those machines have been fighting Council species who evolved in peaceful gardens. They've never encountered anything that evolved on a death world. They have no idea what's about to hit them. Understood, Captain. Earth Command is tracking your position. Be advised, the cavalry is already on the way. Mum, did you really think we'd send a diplomatic mission into unknown space? Without backup, Fleet Admiral Thompson has been shadowing your position with Task Force Terra since day 1. ETA to your position is 11 minutes. Captain Rodriguez felt a surge of pride in her species. Humans didn't send their people into danger alone. They prepared for trouble even when hoping for peace. It was the same instinct that had kept them alive on Earth for millions of years. Jackson, prep our weapons, she ordered. Chen, start broadcasting on all frequencies. Tell the Council ships to get clear. Park, I want everything you know about those machines. What are we doing, Captain? Dr. Park asked. We're doing what humans do best, Captain Rodriguez replied. We're going hunting. As the Devourer fleet closed in on Harmony's edge, they encountered something they had never faced before. The peaceful species of the galaxy had all reacted, predictably to their advance, with fear, retreat, and desperate attempts at negotiation. But these new beings didn't retreat. Instead, they moved toward the threat with the confidence of apex predators who had never learned to. As the massive Devourer fleet approached Harmony's edge, Captain Rodriguez watched the tactical display with the calm focus of a predator sizing up its prey. The machines moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls absorbing light like holes. In space itself, behind her, the Council evacuation ships struggled to clear the station. Their elegant vessels never designed for emergency operations. "Jackson, what's our weapons status?" she asked. "We've got plasma cannons, kinetic torpedoes, and our point defense grid," Jackson replied. "Not much against an armada, but enough to make them notice us." "Chen, any response from the Devourers?" "To our warnings, nothing, Captain. They're ignoring all communication attempts, whatever they are. They don't seem interested in talking." Dr. Park looked up from his analysis station. "Captain, I've been studying their movement patterns. They operate like a distributed intelligence. Each ship knows what all the others are doing, without any visible communication. But that could also be a weakness." "How so?" "They expect predictable responses. Every species they've encountered has either fled or tried to negotiate. They've never faced anything that deliberately chose to fight when outnumbered." Captain Rodriguez smiled. It was the kind of smile that had made Council diplomats nervous during their first meeting. "Then let's give them something they've never seen before." The first Devourer ship opened fire on the station's outer docking ring, its beam weapon beginning to systematically break down the structure at the molecular level. That's when Captain Rodriguez made her move. "All power to engines. Take us straight." At their lead ship, "Ma'am," Chen asked, thinking she had misheard. "You heard me. Straight line. Maximum acceleration. Jackson, prepare for ramming speed." The human ship, scarred and battle-worn from its journey through space, suddenly burst forward with an acceleration that would have crushed any Council crew. The Devourers, programmed to expect logical behavior, couldn't process what they were seeing. Their tactical computers had no algorithms for dealing with a vastly outgunned opponent. Charging directly at them, the lead Devourer ship attempted to destroy the approaching human vessel. But Captain Rodriguez had learned something from studying their attack patterns. She began flying in ways that defied mathematical prediction, rolling, diving, and weaving like a living creature rather than following efficient trajectories. "Jackson, lock onto their command node and fire everything we have." The human ships' weapons blazed to life, concentrating all their firepower on a single point of the massive Devourer vessel. The machines had dispersed armor designed to absorb and redistribute damage, but they hadn't anticipated the focused, savage intensity of human tactics. Just as the Devourer fleet began to adapt to this new threat, space around Harmony's edge suddenly filled with new contacts. Dozens of human ships dropped out of stealth, their hulls dark and angular, designed for one purpose: warfare. Fleet Admiral Thompson's voice crackled over the communication array. "Sorry we're late to the party, Captain. We were waiting to see what these machines could do before we showed our hand." The Devourer fleet found itself facing something unprecedented. In their conquest of the galaxy, these weren't the elegant, peaceful vessels of the Council species. These were warships built by beings who had learned to fight on a world that tried to destroy them every single day. The human fleet didn't form neat battle lines or follow predictable attack patterns. Instead, they moved like a pack of wolves, coordinating through instinct and experience rather than rigid doctrine. Ships would break formation to protect damaged allies, then regroup to strike at exposed enemies. "All ships, commence Operation Deathworld Protocol," Admiral Thompson commanded. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The Devourers had faced the Council's desperate attempts at defense and easily adapted to overcome them, but human tactics were something entirely different. Commander Lisa Torres of the destroyer Relentless led her squadron in a maneuver that would have been impossible for any other species. They flew directly through the enemy formation, using their ship's reinforced hulls to ram smaller Devourer vessels while firing at point-blank range. "This is Torres to all ships," she called out over the battle net. "These machines think like computers, but we think like hunters. Stay unpredictable. Stay aggressive, and remember, we're the apex predator here." The Devourers attempted to adapt their tactics, but every time they calculated a response to human behavior, the humans changed their approach. Lieutenant Colonel James Wright led a squadron of fighters in suicide runs that should have been mathematically impossible to survive. Yet somehow his pilots kept finding ways to strike and escape. But it wasn't just the military tactics that shocked the watching council representatives. As the battle raged, human ships began detecting council survivors trapped on damaged vessels throughout the system. Without hesitation, human crews started launching rescue missions in the middle of active combat. Captain Rodriguez herself led one such mission, bringing her diplomatic ship alongside a crippled council medical vessel. "Jackson, get a boarding team together. Those people need help." "Ma'am, we're still under fire from 3 different directions." "Then we'll have to work fast." The rescue operation that followed would become legendary in council records. Human soldiers, trained for combat in the most dangerous environments imaginable, moved through damaged alien ships like they were strolling through a park. They carried injured council members to safety while fighting off Devourer boarding machines. With nothing but personal weapons and determination. Dr. Kilfin, trapped on the damaged council research vessel Gentle Inquiry, watched in amazement as a human Marine named Sergeant Thompson fought off 6 Devourer machines single-handedly to reach his location. "Sir, we're here to get you out," Thompson said, helping the injured alien to his feet. "But there are others," Dr. Kilfin gasped, "in the lower sections. Already on it, sir. My team doesn't leave anyone behind." It was during these rescue operations that the council species finally understood what they had been dealing with. These humans weren't just dangerous predators, they were protective predators. Their instinct wasn't to dominate other species, but to defend them. The tide of battle turned when human ships began using tactics that the Devourers couldn't compute. Captain Angela Foster of the cruiser Indomitable realized that the machines' distributed intelligence was also their weakness. "All ships, concentrate fire on the command clusters," she broadcast. "Don't try to destroy them, confuse them. Hit multiple targets simultaneously and force them to split their processing power." The strategy worked. As human ships struck at dozens of different points across the Devourer fleet, the machines' perfect coordination began to break down. They started making mistakes, firing on their own vessels, and responding to threats that no longer existed. But the real breakthrough came when Dr. Park, still aboard Captain Rodriguez's ship, made a crucial discovery. "Captain, I've figured out how they communicate," he called out excitedly. "They're using quantum entanglement across a specific frequency band. If we can disrupt it." "Do it," Rodriguez ordered, using their ship's modified communication array. Dr. Park sent a carefully crafted signal that interfered with the Devourer's quantum network. Suddenly, the enemy fleet lost its coordination entirely. With individual ships operating independently instead of as a unified force, the final phase of the battle saw something that no one in the galaxy thought possible. The Devourers, faced with an enemy they couldn't understand or predict, began to retreat. For the first time in their advance across council space, the machines encountered beings they couldn't defeat. Admiral Thompson's fleet pursued them relentlessly, not to destroy them completely, but to make sure they understood that this part of the galaxy was under protection. As the last Devourer ship limped away into deep space, the human fleet began immediate search and rescue operations. Ship after ship arrived carrying medical supplies, food, and temporary shelter for the millions of council refugees. Captain Rodriguez found herself back aboard Harmony's Edge, this time not as a diplomatic curiosity, but as a hero. Vexthara approached her with something the human had never seen before, genuine respect mixed with gratitude. "Captain Rodriguez," the council leader said, "we owe you an apology. We judged your species based on fear rather than understanding. No apology needed." Rodriguez replied, "We understand why you were concerned. We know we're different, Different, yes, but not in the way we thought. You're not destroyers, you're guardians. Your strength comes not from a desire to dominate, but from a need to protect. Dr. Kilthin, his arm in a healing cast from the rescue operation, joined the conversation. We've learned something valuable from this crisis. The galaxy needs different kinds of strength. Our peaceful nature allows us to build and create, but your warrior nature allows you to defend what we've built together. Over the following months, the relationship between humanity and the Council transformed completely. Instead of being seen as dangerous outsiders, humans became the galaxy's protectors. Earth was not only granted full membership, but was asked to establish military bases throughout Council space.